Hello and welcome. It is weekend painting time, for a little while at least. Made some decent progress last night, grimed some things up, overgrimed things. I don't think I overgrimed them, but
How powerful is
lost a lot
Cox
of
Internet?
details in the mix.
Powerful enough for a virtual flight simulation
So,
right from your home.
add some details.
Introducing
Back in.
multi-gig download speeds powered by fiber from
Tweak this
Cox.
thing so that it's
Limited
not making
availability in
sound
select
over.
areas.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and mute you. Thank you very much. So what I got to do is recreate this sort of shiny that I grimied, which was Avalon Sunset. It was some Runefang Steel to make it shiny. And I think I might have added some Corax White to it. I might not have to this time. I just glop that in. Set that guy aside. Actually, I don't have to set him aside. I'll stir with him. And basically on the boots, yellow. Oh, and there was supposed to be, I think, some Retributor armor was the other thing that I put in this glop. So let's do that again. I probably should have went back and watched the video and seen what I did. I hope everyone's doing well out there. It is once again rainy outside here. It's been the rainiest year ever. Tons of rain. Weekend's been good. I got all kinds of stuff done already. And tomorrow, it's my birthday. So, I spoke with my wife about timing of things. I should have a good amount of time to paint tomorrow, which will be fun. I'm guessing I'll probably set these guys aside. I don't think I'm going to miraculously finish them today, but I will set these guys aside and probably put together and paint a bit of Space Marine stuff. So, yeah, I'm good. I feel good. Hope everyone out there's doing good. And welcome back, Bear. It's good to see you. I hit a lot of these with some, I dry brushed them a little bit with something lighter. I think it was Death World Forest to bring some color back up. And then I actually hit these with Corax White very lightly. I hit the furs on these because on the back they look cool. The back, dope. I'd hit those with Skeleton Horde, the contrast paint. On the front, I didn't really get in there with the dry brushing enough, so I was going to get another coat of that. These sort of tentacly things will get Gilliman Flesh, and then the remainder of like the boots and stuff, that skull will get Seraphim Sepia. The boots and stuff will get, I gotta hit these trims with this metal mumbo jumbo, and then I think I can like wash them with probably Agrax Earthshade, and I'll probably be in pretty good shape. So that's sort of the game plan today. And I think these guys will be pretty close. I'll still have the weapons to do. Most likely, I may get to them. Depends on how well people sleep. The point is, I may have to grind the bottoms of these two because this stuff is super bright. I'm doing a bunch of super bright stuff, knowing that I'm going to hit it with grime later, or at least a very dark wash. Like normally I would not go this bright on these, but these are Chaos Lords, so you know, you sort of celebrate that dynasty. Let me loosen this up a little bit. These guys are pros. So they could be a little bit shinier than my other guys. Let's hope no more streaking grime. Oh, I don't know. These boots may get a little of it, but I think they'll probably just get a wash. I think a wash would be good enough. Just being nice and gentle down here. Don't need to get all the way over the edge. The wash that hugs that will finish the job. Yeah, this is going to be much better. I needed something to sort of cut this up. I think I was a little, I don't want to say lazy, maybe overzealous with thinking that I could just super green these guys and then grime them and I'd get a lot of contrast, and I really didn't. I think you really have to dump something underneath like those edges, that really pops. And then when you put the grime over it and you start to then wipe it off, and you do sort of a little bit of a reduction, then it starts looking good. So yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing right here. Is making sure that any sort of metallics get a little bit of love, so there's a spot where things can pop. I'm very pleased with how the cloaks came out. Very pleased with how the fur on the backs came out. Now we just got to bring the rest of this model up to spec. I'm going to scooch these guys back a little bit so I got some space for my hand here. But yeah, I'm pretty psyched for this weekend. It was a really great week of work. I do have to hit those claws a little bit with some Corax white. You're going to find me going back and forth a lot on this now. I'm at that phase of like, what did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? And hopefully I've mixed this paint close enough to what I had last night. It will just serve also as a edging and highlight sort of paint, just to bring some stuff out. I want to keep this pretty grimy, but in a little bit of that edge, I'm just gonna dab some shiny. You don't have to do the whole thing. You really don't want to do the whole thing. All right, so boot. I gotta sneak in here a little bit, get under that, and boot. Or cuff, really. I gotta find out what those shin guard things are called. All right, that looks good there. I've got a little spot in there to hit. Dab this with a little bit of water. Keep it loose. I do have to get a better, optimally not fidget spinner. I gotta find another one of these little cup things in the house. They're really good, but what I really just need is a square one that's that big. My little kids have an awesome bubble popper thing. It's expensive. It's expensive for a bubble popper. But I might just order one of them because it's got several different sized bays, and I think it's probably perfect for me using it as a palette thing. It's so cool. You just pop the paint out when you're done. Start over again. Still haven't fully mastered all the many uses for silicone. Yeah. Alright, I think I hit all the shiny parts on that guy. Get some more shiny on this boy. I've completely recovered, thankfully, from the cold I had that I picked up beginning of the week, which is nice. Very happy I didn't get it nearly as bad as my little kids, who were helpless to it. Yeah, this is going to look a lot better. The paint definitely, I mean, last night I was going kind of fast. Like, not speed painting fast, but reckless. Like, I was doing a lot of steps when things are still a little damp. Because I wanted to get a lot done, and I was having fun. But as I've said 8 million times now, it's, paint's got a cure. It looks very different the next day. And I've done some stuff earlier today that before I was just doing little tiny bits here and there in between other things where I sort of experimented with hitting it with some white so that I could highlight it later, or as a highlight so that I could contrast paint it later. And I was like, oh, I could just click 3 things and be streaming. And then it dawned on me and I was like, oh, I'll just make a cup of tea and cut more footage with my homies. This little piece up here. Yeah. So with these little embellishments, it'll keep it from being as much of a just straight up wall of green. When I hit it with Plague Bearer Flesh over some of this, it'll have a little bit more stuff underneath it to pop through. Oh, that was a little sloppy, but that's okay. There we go. Yeah, Cape and a Shield. That model was looking really awesome. I like that model a lot. It's got a lot of just really cool details. It's really nice, you know, officer model. Someone who's a little bit less expendable, I guess. Some really nice treatment on it. And these guys a little bit. I kind of whiffed on that, but that's okay because I don't care that much. I care a lot, not that much. I'll just hit this whole box on this one. There we go. Nice and gentle. Take your time. I'm going to peek in on a couple little spots on here. There's kind of a tube or two. It doesn't need a ton of paint, but just a little bit. It starts to capture the eye when you look at it. You may not look directly at it, but you notice when the detail's not there. Kind of like audio in a film. If you ever watch a movie and then you think about the fact that there's audio playing, it's like not a good sign. You want to just be immersed. Same is true aesthetically with painting. You just want enough detail so you're not really thinking too much about detail. All right, so as I look around this guy, boot's in pretty good shape. This boot's in pretty good shape. It's got some shiny. Everything still looks very flat. If I work hard, I should be able to get all the way to the metallics on this stuff. And it'll be good because I can go back and forth because these, obviously, they're just sitting with primer right now. It's because of totally different treatment on them. There we go. All right, this guy's definitely got some deets on his boots. I did try edging those, and they do stand out better. Tried edging those with just a little bit of lighter white, but it wasn't quite enough to seal the deal. The metal edge, especially with how yellowy this is, it will just sell better. But honestly, it's a pretty good thing that I got that light section on a little earlier too. It does show through. A lot of this is about layers. These models can have no details left in them with how many flipping layers I've put on them, but you know, your brush doesn't land the same way every single time. So if you highlight twice, as long as you don't totally screw it up, you get little bits of gradient between the spots that you hit. And that's cool. I don't know that most of the detail work that I do is like kind of repairing mistakes of the past. But I do want to get to a point, like I wasn't good enough when I was on Typhus to really, and I was distracted by everything about Typhus is a distraction. But I think with a larger model, I probably stand to spend a little bit more time just like highlighting edges and highlighting edges and highlighting edges. It's not a bad thing. I can't imagine spending all that time on poxwalkers, mind you. But for the right model, at the right time, I realize this is hard to see on camera, but there's not really a good way for me to hold it. I'll try. Oh, shaky hands. Not a good time for shaky hands. There we go. Get a little bit of a lighter piece with some water. There we go. Whew. Disarming a bomb every time. Edge a little bit. That edge. All the way around the back here. Dab, dab. Little boop, little dot on the knob. Not trying to get the whole thing, but just a little bit of it. Scooch. That's fine. That's fine. All right, there's another little spot back of this bootish thing. There we go. in pretty good shape. Just a little bit of highlighting. So you can see there, like, it's not a crazy amount of shininess down there, but it's just a little bit to break things up. And I'll do the same thing with his chest piece here. So when I go over it again with its 48th layer of paint, there'll be a little bit more to look at. A little bit will soak through. It's absolutely the opposite of speed painting. I've been on these models for quite a while, and they're still basically just wicked green. It's been quite a ride. Get that gorget piece, his collar. I think that's going to look a lot better. I've got a couple little things in here that I can still hit. I'm going to hit these chains again because they got kind of washed out, and I think they'll look a little bit better golden up. I think, yeah, it's got a little chain in back. Let that soak in a little. So yeah, a lot of edging in there, a lot of thin lines when you have something shiny against something as drab as Death Guard green colors go. They tend to stand out a little bit more. It's obviously too shiny right now, but that's fine. That's what it's there for. You want it to stand out. You know, in the same way I've put white on these now. I'm just looking for a few details to shine. All right. Well, I think I can move forward into some contrast paint territory. I will leave this hypnotic wheel to the side. Clean this brush a little bit. And then the plan is a little bit of Bugman's Glow, not a lot, on any of the tentacly stuff. And we'll get a wash after that. I honestly can't tell what in the good heck these things are supposed to be down here. So they're probably just going to get plague bearer flesh. But he's got this tentacle thing wrapped around him. Custom made. Green stuff. Play-Doh snake, if you will. Dab a little water. And this will absolutely help this pop out a bunch. Yeah. Again, I don't have to like super get the whole thing. I'm just looking for some little bit of lines of dim color. Get this phone out of my pocket so it stops being a complete distracting mess. All right, more of this Play-Doh snake. There we go. Question is, do I hit those things? I don't think I do. I think I've got enough shiny down here that'll carry through. That skull will get Seraphim Sepia. I think I'm safe. Just give him a spin. I'm not totally forgetting anything, like this spot right behind his neck that I totally didn't get. All the way down here. And I find Bugman's Glow is pretty good for tentacle stuff if you don't want to go into the sort of crazy area of people that do like amazing purples and stuff. If you want to keep it sort of still grimy, Bugman's Glow looks fleshy, looks blushy, but it doesn't look too crazy. All right. I feel pretty good about that. Just for laughs, just hit this guy's tongue. La 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 la. La 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 la. That's good. Enough messing around there. All right. So with that done, I think it's pretty safe to go in and start doing a little bit of contrast paint in a few spots. I find a brush that is not totally destroyed, but doesn't have to be perfect, because this stuff would kind of just gently glop in. I'm going to hit the fur on these, the skeleton horde. Get these fronts to match the backs, which would be nice. Once again, that helps break up a little bit of that super duper green that we got going. Yeah, that's going to settle a lot better. I'm actually going to hit these claws with it. That's fine. A little off color. But yeah, it'll get them closer to that fur color, which would be nice. And this guy's got the same treatment because they're buddies. Matching pair. Get it in there. Gently. Oh, that's a big glop of it. I'll just move it around a little bit. If ever you hit it with too much, you just dab some off the brush, dry it, and it'll sort of just soak back into the moist brush. So yeah, those look like claws. Color-wise, it's fine. All right. So those should now nicely match the backs of these. Yeah, it's not too bad for a cloak. For first time doing a bunch of dry brush, contrast, wash, dry brush, contrasts. Turned out good. Alrighty. Now our next trick, all three of these are going to get this, is some Plague Bearer flesh. And this guy's actually going to get it on his head. Because he doesn't look gifted enough yet. Doesn't quite look like one of Nurgle's chosen. Oh yeah, there you go, buddy. Now you look ill. There we are. Oh yeah, that's good. That's bright. That is bright stuff. Okay, well that looks very different than what I thought it was going to look like. But I'm not sure that I don't like it. It's got an amazing radiance to it. It's weird. I kind of dig it. There's technically more fur back there. I don't know if I'm going to get to that today. It is pretty radiant. I mean, do I have to get all of this green stuff here? That's weird. That's a weird color. Not sure I'm going to hit the second guy with it. Not sure I won't. But I have to put this over all the green now. That's just a commitment. It's not going to work on a singular piece. It's not going to look like a complete set of armor anymore. So, on you go, contrast paint. We are now committed. There's no turning back. It might be neat if it makes him look different than his casually twin-like brother. It does look like it's got a little bit of coverage for that shiny stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I like him. But I'm really going to have to see how this dries. The dry brushing and white highlights that I did definitely helped this out a lot. Now he's starting to have different color, different shading. All right, if I avoid that skull like a champ, I stay in good shape. It means I do have to hit his pauldrons, though, to get him up to this. That is a wild color. Man, paint, you don't perform exactly how I expected, but this guy's radiant. I'm going to have to hit his face with something additional, though. I think I have one other guy that doesn't have a full helmet on, and I think I hit him with, yeah, there you go. Yeah, you shiny. I think I hit the other guy with, let's see if I can find him. Yeah, this guy might have gotten a little bit of Bugman's, might have gotten some Gilliman flesh over it, but he just looks head bruised. Here we go. Strange. But I think I like it. But it doesn't mean I'm going to do it a second time on the other guy. He definitely has gotten himself an otherworldly pallor at this point. A little bit underneath in there. I dig it. I dig it. Oh, his other arm. Always got to pay attention. Don't miss the other arm. That is pretty loud. Pretty loud. I might be able to take that back down a notch with another layer of something, but we'll see how that goes. We'll see how this dries up. Don't have to worry about him being confused for his bro at this point. That is faux show. Yeah, maybe his head looked like it's bloated a bit. That was the challenge with this one. You know, I could probably do that. I think I have the means to do that. I have an idea. I could hit him with dabs, just dabs of Nurgle's Rot. And if I'm gentle with it, I tap some in, and I let it dry a little, and I tap some more on, I could probably get some weird bulbous creepiness going, which would be sweet. I think that's a good idea. I think I'm going to do that. It's nice not having to have all your ideas come from yourself. It's one of the really nice things about streaming. You get all kinds of good ideas. You crowdsource everything. All right. That might dry funny, but it might not. All right, yeah, there's a little bit under this piece of arm. It is bright, though. It is shining. Under the back of this arm. Yeah, buddy. All right, so very green. It's not easy being green. Don't dislike it. I don't hate it. But I'm not sure I'm going to apply it to the other guy just yet. Which means I got some thinking to do. I'm going to use my actual favorite grime. I know, Dane, but this isn't streaking grime. This is just slimy grime dark. And that'll set these guys two colors apart a bit. Yeah, I think on this one I am a little bit late to start stuffing. There we go. This guy will get grime, but no streaks. You can definitely see how that white underneath makes a huge difference. I'm still keeping some amount of basically keeping some amount of highlighting in there, and then as this dries and cures in, if it even does cure, I might be making that up, but as it dries, get a little bit more detail out of it. Yeah, you grimy, green, grimy, slimy. Took down had to open up a case a light bulb case for an outdoor light. Say, my wife actually went up on the ladder. She did most of the work, but it had grime in it that was like exactly this color. I was like, yes, good job, paint. Just this old algae up in there. Yeah, a little bit of grime never hurt anyone. This is a little different than this stuff I'm not wiping off. This is just the green that I've done a ton of my Death Guard with. Ton of them. Gives it a little bit of texture. Gives it an inconsistent green so it looks weathered. It's actually the first AK product I ever used. I swear I would love to get a sponsorship from these guys because their stuff is awesome. Gloop some of that in. Gloop some of that in. Little dots, little splorts. Looks like the guy's been playing outside a lot. There we go. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Yeah, Dane, the grime is back. But this is the classic grime. This is grime I'm very used to. And I got to give that skull on the back a slightly different treatment than the rest of the model. Slightly different. All this effort to be like green, not green, green, not green, green, not green. It is my life. All right, so this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. I'm going to treat them all different. I'm going to treat them all different because they're all special. This guy will not get grime. I am going to make a little wash for him. Close this stuff up. Find my Seraphim Sepia. Maybe Agrax. Maybe this guy just gets Agrax. It's a classic. Yeah, we'll just hit this guy with Agrax. Might loosen it up a little bit. I am going to loosen it up a little bit. Put a little bit on my wet palette and a big old glop of water. Don't need too much of it, and it is pretty dark and pretty amazing. All right, now, buddy. Is that a tentacle? Yeah, he's got tentacles. I'm gonna do those first. Zipping around from model to model, forgetting stuff. All right. At least I think that's a tentacle. It is now. Yeah, that's a tentacle. Let's get all in there. Those are tentacles. They look like it. Sometimes I legit cannot tell what some of these details are supposed to be. And I'm fine with that. You just interpret them however the heck you want. I'm going to get him a little pink-faced. Yeah, Bugman, tell him. I think he's got some amount of helmet on the back. So I really only need to get like general amount of his face and his top of his skull. Yeah, it does. He's got a little bit of a wraparound helm on the back that's just kind of fused in. And that spike on his head will get white at some point. That's Seraphim Sepia. All right, now. Now I can earth shade him. These brushes have been through a lot. A whole heck of a lot. Loosen my neck up. Take a sip out of my branded mug. puff. And let's dip into some Agrax. As I drop a brush on the ground. There we go. Put you in the right place, you don't fall. Lo and behold. So this Agrax is pretty heftily watered down. I don't want to go too dark. Happy to just let the, show it to you. Basically dab some in there and then put some water near it. And just sort of swirl the brush around and grab however much of the actual pigmented stuff that I want. That way things don't get out of hand too fast. Don't cover up too much. And I can lay it on there pretty liberally. If I hit it with 2 coats, that's fine, because it's relatively light treatment of it. Get in there. Actually, his skull will look fine with some Agrax on it. It'll look a little greener. That's all. Just a little greener. That, get under in these arm bits. Looking good. Oh, get them all over this thing. There's all kinds of little tiny bits of detail in the back of this thing. And that is actually taking his color a little bit back home, away from the super bright green. It's not knocking it down by a ton, which is good. I don't want to destroy that color. But some of this Agrax, just getting it back into a little less, getting it grim and dark again, because that's what Agrax Earthshade does. Alright, that guy's good to go. Now you get your Agrax treatment. This should help some of this detail start to pop a little bit. And it is. It is working. You can always go back and do another coat, though that's kind of fateful words with these models for me, because I've been going back and doing 8 million coats. But it still remains true. Like, that's why you shouldn't super worry if you do something you don't particularly love the first time, because all is forgiven. Frankly, even if you had to go back, drop this thing in some simple green, scrub brush it down, it'd be okay too. You learn a lot from that. You learn a whole heck of a lot from that. There we go. Between those fingers, always get some wash between those fingers. It's like the most prolific place to start getting some detail out. Just watch the wash kind of get into the nooks and crannies. Push it around a little bit if you need to. Dab of the actual pigmented stuff. Excuse me. Get all on this shoe. All down here. Avoiding those claws. They've already got enough color and contrast to them. Get a decent dab between these little spots here. We'll bring out some of those bolts and screws. Back up to the top. Yeah. Yeah. Washing makes everything better. Doesn't take much to make a massive difference. This is that turning point where, like, okay, I love these models when I started, but now I can start to see the actual aesthetic come together. And it's very drab colors. very drab. But if you look at it from different profiles, and obviously the weapons will add a ton when they finally pop. It's not just a blindingly green situation. There's like cool stuff to look at. You know, this guy's got the cloak, the skull on the back. That huge spike is going to look really rad. I may work on that next. I may do all bony stuff. I'll do metallics next. And then from the front, it's just like, I'm going to have to add some more detail over this after it's washed pretty well, but it won't need a ton. Like probably just like some edge highlighting will do it. That should be enough. There's enough interesting parts on there that pop, enough interesting places where you can see texture and like the screws and the bolts and the fur. I might put red inside that visor. I might. It's such a weird thing, a one-eyed visor. But I might not need it. I might not need it. This might be fine. But this is a huge reason why, and I intentionally did these guys different. There's a huge reason why my other guys do have sections of white on them. There's just a little bit more to play with. Let's do some metallics. And at this point, I do need lead belcher, because I am not going to do my weapons as super shiny. Just give this a little wash here. Find my lead belcher. Should have brought that from the beginning. Lead belcher. This guy didn't get washed. No, he didn't. He did not. Thinking I'm done, and I'm not. Never done. Pour this on the palette. I just lay that in there. That's good. It's okay if some of this agrax gets up to the edge of the tentacles. I don't want to go over it. But it getting up to the edge, especially with the wash that those will get, the wash mixes, it gives you a nice little transition. Those fingers do. Oh, you see that? Boink. Somebody needs a repair. It does happen. I don't think I got enough glue in there to actually get a good fuse. Well, I mean, clearly I didn't, but I mean enough to actually melt enough metal on both sides is what I mean. There we go. Get all those little details popping out. Oh, the shiny chain, grimy chain. There we go. Yeah, you fit into Death Guard nicely now, my man. Those fingers. There you go, buddy. Look at that. Now you look like a properly ill, disgusting prophet of plague. Make sure I get all around this guy. While you're here, you get a wash too, buddy. That will just make those skulls A, look a little grimy, but B, something as dark as Agrax gets into all those little spots with like the nose, the teeth, the eyes. I'll just set that down. And backpack. Backpacks are always full of little widgets, gewgaws, nooks and crannies that a wash just soaks right into. Pure bliss. Oh yeah. Yeah, buddy. do this. All right, so presuming, do my classic once over so that while I'm talking I realize I missed another spot. Presuming all that washes in the right places, I should just glue this guy's shoulder back on so he has a second to rest and feels decently repaired. Get out my glue. Hopefully I don't have to torch it. I don't think I have a lighter in this room right now. Be a little heavy-handed with it. Make sure I get all over the surface of this thing. Is this... Yeah, this is the arm that got replaced. The kit bashing, post-kit bashing injury. If I let that guy chill, his own little spot, now we can move to metallics. If I don't get back to that guy anytime soon, that's fine. He needs a little time to rest. Should do what I should do. I've got my lead belcher. Probably have a little bit of wood to do. Let me see if I got a brown out here. I don't think I do. I got a little bit of brown. Alright, so got dryad bark. It's that speary thing. There's a lot going on. So I will start with, yeah, I'll do the lead belcher stuff first. Weapons, weapons, weapons. I love me some weapons. Sip of tea. Ah, that's good, good, good. I just found out that if I hit 10,000 subscribers, I could do charity streams. That would be cool. Do like a marathon. Get up at like 6 in the morning. Go like 12 hours straight and then pop another one. Just be like completely hunched over and done with the world. I don't know. That would be neat. I like charity stuff. I won't do anything zany, but like pick a big project. Just pour a bunch of time into it. Just take donations, and it's all like automated, so like it's completely safe. Like if you see like a legit charity stream, apparently the stuff just goes like it's just funneled. Person never sees it, which is good. Because I always wondered how that worked. Little by little, as this channel gets bigger, it like unlocks more features to look at as like next steps. And I find the charity stream one to just be kind of intriguing. Be really cool to like give to charity by painting models on the internet. That'd be awesome. That should probably get a different metal color. This part, scooch it so you guys can see what I'm doing. I will hit this other piece. This brush is hurting. With that gold color that I mixed up. Gurk. All of that little edge there, because that's where the transition is going to be. All right. Did I get all of it? Looks like I got all of it. You're next, buddy. Now, obviously, this blade is eventually going to get a ton of rust on it. But for now, inside is metally. Dab of water here. I think I overthinned it, but that's fine. Absolutely fine. It's really just a base coat. Establish the shiny I'll take away later. I'll let you scrape to it. And I do that sometimes. Sometimes after I put a bunch of rust on, and just take a toothpick, just apply a little bit of pressure, and some of the chips come flying off in a very, I guess I'll use the word organic, though I'm not sure that's the right way. A very analog sort of way, asymmetrical, and it can look kind of cool. Looks less like you faked it. Alright, I'm just going to get all of the metal bits on this axe head good and metally. I do love this weapon. It's absolutely awesome. So it's got all these, crazy spikes coming out of it. And it's got this big glop of goop, which I'll hit with Tesseract Glow eventually after I've done all the other effects. And it just has this really nice pop of plaguey, almost radioactive color coming off of this big old drop on it. It's neat. So neat. Alright. Get all up on this metal box, whatever it is. There's definitely Death Guard melee weapons that are just a really weird fusion of like I got a radiator on this thing for some reason. I mean, yes, it's chaotic for sure. I just am showing my appreciation for how they interpret chaos. The books are awesome because they're just like, yeah, I know it doesn't look like it works, but that's because you live in an ordered reality, and they don't. So, tough luck. I've got this plasma pistol to hit up. Weird plasma pistol. Careful not to hit my precious cloak that I miracled into existence via some excellent advice. Flesh cloak came up the other night. Great idea. Great idea. Let's get over the knob of this thing. I think this whole thing's getting the treatment. Yeah, it is. Even that. You're not organic anymore. I'm sorry, buddy. I'll hit it with something shiny. Actually, that's the sort of pommel thing. Angles, angles, angles. Get in there. I'll go over that with brown, I think. We could probably have a metal end to a pommel. All right, and this guy. More lead belcher coming your way. Brush a little spin. Okay, there's a little bit of detail. I gotta get around this edge nice and slowly. There we go. There we go. There we go. Good and shiny. Now we got this crazy mace. So I'm going to go over this entire end of it in lead belcher. The little cross pieces, I don't know if you can make out the details, but around where the spikes are, it's the orb is sort of bisected in all three directions. I'll hit that with something else a little later over this. Maybe a brown. Nah, maybe something a little steelier. I might just highlight it a little bit, make it rustier. This little piece of spiky binding. That's supposed to be wood. It kind of looks like it's supposed to be wood over there. That's all right. I got this chain down here. It's funny, this mace is, I can't believe I've never noticed it. I think I've got this mace on like 3 different guys. His bracer has a loop on it, and there's a couple links of chain. So if he drops this thing, he still gets to keep it. That is neat. So many tiny details. There we go. So some of our metallics are in pretty good shape. I should hit this spike coming out of this skull with some of this jazz. Keep an eye out for any other bits that might need a small highlight. It's got a little fly pendant thing. A lot of times I would hit these in warp lock bronze. I'm not using any warp lock bronze on these guys, so that they'll stand out a bit. Because they are all Plague Marine sized. I want to take special care with them. And I want them to be recognizable in the field. All right, so that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And dry first, or last, I guess. I need to hit some dryad bark, not snakebite leather. Dryad bark for the woody bits. That is, looks like a purity seal, quote unquote. I have to hit that with something at some point, and I missed a piece of metal. Great job. Good looking out. I'll get back to you in a second, buddy. Now I can see a little better. Dab in gently. There's the purity seal, which is hilarious. It's more of a Nurgly seal. Grandpapa Nurgle will give you the golden seal when you've finally caught your seasonal cold. There we go. Lots of little space to get in on. Gently. So gently. Threading the needle. Yeah, I did a pretty sloppy job there. I'm going to grab a Q-tip. See if I can rescue this guy's hand. Yeah. It's something. It's what I used to make dinner. And of course, the jagged spiked end absolutely just mauls the daylights out of Q-tips if it's anywhere near it. All right, that's about as good as that's going to get, I think. As I investigate it, it looks all right. And this guy's got a long pole for the staff, which I just grabbed lead belcher. Boop, 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 boop. If I am going to do that, then I will go get that little piece. Boop, over here that I missed. Yeah, we're back. Plague encrusted, exalted weapon is what that is called, officially on the sheet. Close that so I don't go back to it. this dryad bark is pretty dark stuff. I should thin it out a little bit so it creeps into crevices a little also. I find it's good, but it almost always needs like a little bit of a dry brush or just a light brushing of something lighter afterwards. Especially for like this kind of handle that's got a lot of texture on it. But it's good sort of as a base, and then a very light dusting of something else over it will bring the texture out pretty darn fast. Something like Xandri dust? Yeah. A little brushing of Xandri dust on there, and it should look good. Might give it a little wash after that, but it might not actually need it. Because the dryad bark's kind of dark enough. Alright, we're in it on that one. That's funny. I did nothing with this guy's plasma pistol. All the time. It's like to the point where it doesn't even bother me anymore. Like I just flat out expect that as I'm shifting through models, there's just whole parts that didn't spin it in the direction I thought it did. It's fine. We're here for a long time and a good time. This guy does mean business. All right, that little tentacle I put in there is gonna cost me a little bit of pain, not much, just more detail. I just want to be careful that I actually get it right. Yep, I did. Obviously being super careful as I get near my cloak. Now we got another needle threading moment, but that's not the tentacle's fault. There we go. Just getting in there enough. Doesn't need a ton of paint. Doesn't need to be gloppy. Alrighty. Alrighty. Everybody's reasonably metallic. This guy should have some brown needs for this mace, and he does. Left shoulder. Posted another update of my Ultramarines captain. Look at that. Yes, open in browser. I want to zoom into painful detail. The glow on the pistol looks great. Purity seal, yeah, they look awesome. Yep, we got the Ultramarine symbol. It looks really nice with how embossed out that symbol is. Was that pauldron? That one you can see more in the foreground? Is that stock or was that 3D printed? Because it looks really nice. Like it's got that super raise to it, which I really like. Lots of good detail. Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, I love that gun. That gun looks great. Nice belt buckle too. That must have. That for me is the handshaky stuff. The stuff like belt buckles. I'm like, ugh. But I power through it like a champ. Yeah, nice. Yeah, definitely. It looks a little bit more bold than what you normally get on one of the Games Workshop models. I like it though. That embossing on there is really cool. It pops. like to think some ultramarine had his pauldron that embossed, and he shoulder checked some orc and just like printed out the ultramarine symbol on the guy's chest. Alrighty. Alrighty. We are eking ever closer. He's starting to feel pretty good. I don't think we're close to done because I got a lot of crap I got to do. But we're getting within striking distance. I need to hit some stuff with... What do I need? What do I need? What do I need? I need Bugman's Glow on these nerdlings, and I need Wraithbone for the skull work. Whoops, easy. Get the shakes. Wraithbone it is. I'll do that first. All the skulls, we're going to need some amount of Wraithbone. Some of them I can't really dry brush. Some of them I got to just paint it on there, but then they'll get Seraphim Sepia and that'll take them down a notch. There we go. Dab a little bit in my wet palette. Keep my paints nice and thin. Wraithbone, you're so weird when you separate and they're black in my white paint. Crazy. Anything that is a spike. Crazy tooth. Speaking of teeth, let me get his mouth a little bit. This skull. And I don't mind if the paint is thin. Little green is coming through. That's actually better than super thick coating it. Yeah. Yeah, I should look into getting a set of pauldrons. I'd love to do like a Lords of Silence themed, one of my squads at least. And there's like this really cool shush symbol that they have. I'm sure someone out there has it printed. It'll be fun to get. So there's this skull right next to this nerdling. Once again, not too worried about getting into the holes in the skull, where the eyes are, the nose, bullet hole. That's a really cool little skull. Just dabbing around. Somehow I've actually got a little bit of legit water in there. I think it came off the brush. There we go. Much better. Good job, skull. You look rad. Snurgling's just hanging out with the skull. In front of Gurg. I don't know if this little skull that's on his skull's not on his back, it's lying backwards underneath him. I don't know if this one's going to survive the basing process. He's like deeply underneath there, and I do have to put some basing like material down because this is going to be a base on top of a base because the base is too small. I don't know if that skull will make it. Maybe just the very outside edge will sneak out, which would be fine. It'll just look more buried. Alrighty. Skull, skull, skull. Skull, skull, skull. Guy's okay. Ooh, huge spike sticking out of his arm. Gotta get that too. Just because there's a nurgling on it doesn't mean it doesn't get nice treatment here. Does make it a little more complicated. Complicated's cool too. Get his little spiky spiky. So many deets. This guy's just crawling with nurglings, and he's gonna get more. He's gonna get more. I think before, as soon as I start getting tired and think about signing off, the last thing I'll do is actually get this guy's base attached with some more nurgling action. That'll be fun. Everybody needs more nurglings. Oh, little teeth. Oh my god, I think I got his tooth. I got his tooth right. Ha ha. Small victories, friends. Small victories. A little bit of blort in there between his toes, painting between a nurgling's toes. Did we ever think we'd say that statement out loud? Ever? Alright, this guy has got just a little bit of highlight work on the claws. Just the tiniest little dab. A little bit of nail polish. And then he's got a skull near his groin. Just giving that a little bit of a highlight. Maybe a little bit right around the nose. It's the tiniest amount of paint. Tiniest. He does have a skull up here. It's going to get glopped. And this skull is actually like a legit hair piece. The back of the skull is blown out, and so his top knot is up there, and it's bound. And then all his hair goes out the back of the skull. It's pretty rad. It's a nice touch. Figure out what color his hair is going to be. Yeah, that sounds pretty gnarly in close combat. So many attacks. And at strength 9, that's pretty good. Any other weird spikes you're hiding? People are slamming doors in my house, but that's how life goes. Alright. So I got all 3 of those that way. I'm going to bite the bullet, and I'm going to do a little bit of gluing. Am I? I should wait. I'll wait to glue. I will nurgling up, though. Get this Bugman's glow going. Bugman's is a really good base, and if I use it on tentacles, I use it on nurglings, but I'll often wash them with something different. So I think I have like a burgundy that'll, excuse me, I have my nurglings that I'll use there, and then there's some other one that I'll use on tentacles. So like in the end, they don't look exactly the same, but as a base, it's really solid. All right, nurgle away. And I already missed the spike. You're just gonna get a treatment all over you, son. You get a bath in this stuff. There you go. Nurglings are so much fun. So much fun. I'm not going to say that they're effortless to paint, but you kind of just pick their base color, give them a pretty solid wash, and then hit them with some details. Kind of come out great. They come off the molds looking pretty rad. I can't wait to figure out. I can't wait to play the game now. Now I'm starting to get really psyched. You can hear it in my voice. No, I'm starting to get really psyched. I'm just a little tired. But ever closer, I got to do an audit this weekend. Make sure I have all the exact units I need for my combat patrol done. I think I do. But I did mess around with some Plague Marine champion stuff. So I just want to make sure that my army is what you see is what you get in terms of how their armaments are. So I may have a little bit of tweaking to do, but if all of that is a go, then hopefully maybe next weekend even, I'll at least start making calls to my local game shops. I know one of them around here has a new folks night on Saturday nights, I think, or at least they did when I started checking this stuff out a few months ago. It'd be really great if I could just get a game with someone who's like willing to be patient enough to just teach. That would be a hoot. Get my butt handed to me a few times and then learn a bit more about the game and the flow of it. Keep pressing to my big army, my 2,000 point army. Magic Q-tip to the rescue. Yeah, that's good. How many nurglings you got? Because you can never have enough. There we go. So this guy will get a little bit more detail around the face most likely, but I'll do that after he gets a wash. That wash is really going to bring out a lot of the detail that is very nondescript. But they're so pudgy that they naturally have, they're not like wrinkles, creases is what they have. I guess the reason I'm saying like a single coat and a wash works well with them is they have these pudgy creases that naturally just draw in a more gradient kind of way. They draw in washes, not with tight lines, but with like subtle darkening. When this guy gets washed, he'll be super floss between your horns. He'll be pretty close. I want to get some stuff on his face, like a little dab of red for his tongue, maybe some stuff for his weird eye. But that's about it. That is about it. And at least that's the case for the nurglings I've done so far, which are all ones that come with a separate model. You actually buy legit nurglings as a unit. They're bigger and they're more detailed, but still rad. All right, and I am going to take, while it's on my palette, a bit of Bugman's and a bit of Wraithbone. It's going to be a little bit lighter, and I'm going to get the rest of this guy's. I'm going to go over his dome piece a little bit so it looks a little fleshier. There we go. And I don't have to get it perfectly. It's okay if some of this straight up Bugman's gets through. But it's just going to get a little coat that is a little less cheery. A little less red. Makes him a little bit surlier while I'm here. Truth be told, he's got metal on his head. I should address that metal. Address that metal. After that, I will find my Seraphim Sepia. We'll go back over the bone. And lead belcher. That's what I want. And most of our bone stuff will be done. And then I'll just have very conspicuous details to handle. I really missed a ton of that spike. Oh, that's life. Alright, so the back of this guy's head, like maybe a third of his head is covered in metal. Get that out of the way right now. Because I'm going to have to glop him with something. His head's going to need something disgusting on it. It's already like, it's decayed, but it's not, the model's decayed. At least it looks like it, but it's not disgusting yet. Not to my satisfaction. Maybe I'll thin out some Nurgle's Rot. I did say I was going to use some Nurgle's Rot pretty soon. Yeah, maybe some thinned out Nurgle's Rot will do it. Looks like he's got a little Vox thing there. Alright. Now we can go to Seraphim Sepia. Now he's kind of metaled up. Take one last glance at him while there's paint on the brush. I can sneak in there a little bit better. Actually, let me check this pauldron. Yeah, he's on there. That pauldron looks really good. It's got a serious memento mori underground catacomb thing going. I dig it. Dig it, folks. All right. A couple little highlights on here. The remaining metal that I've got on this brush. Sometimes when you've pretty much used up, when you're done doing a color, it's good to just spin the thing around and hit it with highlights where there's almost no paint on it. You just get these tiny little bits of metallic. Yeah, look at you. You're going to stand out nicely. Close the pot up. There's still things you can hit. Edges of things. Look at that. Look at that. Just before I wash this guy off. Alright, Seraphim Sepia is the paint, the wash I need next. Get this nice and Oh yeah, you guys are suffering. These brushes have been through so much. Grime. Rotarian grime. Seraphim sepia. It'll take a couple seconds to let some things dry. And now I'm starting to go fast like I was yesterday. Quickly respond to my wife. And I can't stay on here forever because I gotta call my parents up too. I'm not gonna be able to talk to them tomorrow. Alrighty, let's get some of this bone sorted out with my actual favorite wash, Seraphim Sepia. Or sepia, as some people say. Get some on this skull. Very mild. Very, very mild. Just creates a little bit of yellowing. Or a lot if you put a lot on, but it's nowhere near that Agrax territory. I might make this guy's hair exceedingly red. Or exceedingly black might be good too. Absolutely like midnight black and maybe red for how it's bound up. But in the short term, I'm just looking at Scully stuff. And I think I got just about all of it. I'll hit this purity seal with this. It's going to eventually get some white on it, but this will give it some texture. Yeah, it is looking cool. I do got to mess with that guy's head quite a bit. Definitely. Yeah, we're getting there. This is actually a bone spike, so you get Seraphim Sepia. And I don't see... Oh, there's mega bone on the back here. Yeah. You get Seraphim Sepia. In fact, I'm going to give it to this whole demon. It'll be interesting because nice yellowy pallor. Make some of his stuff stand out, and then when I hit him with a little bit more lighting and shading detail someday, maybe later today, I got to get his eye. But this will very much make it seem like he's growing out of this thing, just because of the color difference. I don't need to hit that spike. Yeah, we are getting there. Plugging along, putting in that work. These guys are a little damp, but that's fine. Give this guy, this little lord, nurgling buddy, get his skull all drenched up. And the skull on this guy's back is awesome. Let that drip where it will. He's got a spike coming out of his head. He's going to get Seraphim Sepia on his face, because that'll take some of the pink down and make it start to look like, you know, sad. Sepia skin is like jaundiced, the word for it, I think. I'll start making this guy look ill. The other guy is definitely getting more treatment, though. Other guy is going to get Nurgle's rot. Oh, what a fun thing to be talking about. Yeah. Sure, I've got all the little nooks and crannies of these skulls, backside of this guy. Alright, as I spin this around, I missed the skull. Of course I did. Yeah, thanks, Dane. It is starting to look cool. It's coming together. The stuff that I was... There's a huge delay, so mind me if I'm answering the wrong question. Well, the stuff I was putting on all the skulls and spikes is a shade called Seraphim Sepia. And it's a much lighter shade and a little bit more orangey. It looks like an old photo kind of thing. I use that over Wraithbone on most of the bone stuff that I do. And I picked that up just sort of by accident. Because I liked the name Seraphim Sepia. I was talking to someone whose name is very similar to that while I was ordering stuff, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out. And then I had to find a use for it, and pretty early, actually right out the gate, I was using it on my poxwalkers for all those big bone spikes that come out of them. And I wanted to give them a weathered look. And so Seraphim Sepia, or Sepia, is the wash in question. And I use it very regularly now. Like it's automatic for me. Get underneath this crazy jaw. I'll just get the rest of this whole thing. And I forgot his blade. Ha! So many details. So many details. All right, I'll very quickly wash this brush. Go back to Leadbelcher. I got the sword. And then after I've got the sword, I'll go back and sepia up that last skull that I had missed. Around and around and around. Just get blind to it. It's the whole sea of green. A huge sword sticking off the back of this guy. I think the problem is with this guy is he's holding a weapon in each hand, and then he's got like a plague blade behind him. So you count like 1, 2, got both of his weapons. Like, no, you don't, buddy. No, you don't. Not yet, you don't. That's cool. You're looking good. That blade is solid and will be rusty shortly. Back again to washing. This is how I know I'm actually getting close. Just because the little bits that I haven't done are like, oh, that's right, that one. But you can just sort of like knock them off a list in your head as you're doing them. Boop, 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 boop. It doesn't feel like a blinding amount of stuff. Yeah, you skull's looking good. Yeah, you skull's looking good. Yeah, this Seraphim Sepia on this guy's head is awesome. I'm going to actually put it on pretty thick. It gives him a very, like, jaundicey, unhappy skin look. I pull a little bit of that out so it doesn't totally drench him. Indeed, it's like, yeah, it's puddled. But let's see if I can. It's blurry. I can do that on this camera. Nope, it's not lit. He's got a cool face. I don't know how it actually looks when I stream it. So I'm just on a monitor. But he shouldn't need too much detail. I may hit his teeth. Take him to the dentist real quick. But on that note, thank you, Seraphim Sepia. You've served me well. And I still got plenty of it. That stuff is worth its weight in gold. It's that magic time to grab a green brush. Because we're going to do some Nurgle's Rot. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do on this poor guy's head. Which is I'm going to take a dab of Nurgle's Rot. And make his head look gross. Because, man, he does not look like he's been chosen by Nurgle to spread plagues just yet. I mean, obviously, he's got the proper accoutrement for it. He's got the flesh cloak. He's got the axe. He's got this pretty face. Don't like the pretty face. If something will mess up a pretty face, it's probably this gross mucus stuff. Try to get a glob on it. Just blop, blop, blop. Don't forget the back of his head. And I'm just literally pressing this brush. This brush is dry. Kind of glumpy. Oh yeah, his head's starting to get glopped. Look at that. Now, if that sits there like that, it'll be quite gross. Maybe get some on his other cheek. If it sits, it'll help him look terrible. I may just let that sit like that. So this stuff is extremely viscous and it dries with a crazy sheen on it. Maybe I'll just let you stand up there like that. Maybe I'll just dab you a little bit more down here. Get you a little bit more booger action down here. On these pipes. Oh yeah, it could look like it's just spilling down that pipe. Gross, buddy. Gross. Yeah, this guy's seen better days. Not many, but he's seen them. With that done, that'll make him pop. Now, at long last, out comes the typhus corrosion. Did I bring it out here with me? That's Agrax. That's bear flesh. Let's go find typhus. Ah, yes, back to my rusty happy place. Alright. Boink. Player of the game. Typhus corrosion. Decent amount of this gun, not everywhere. Just enough. The other neat thing about typhus corrosion is if you paint it through not so heavy, it will just knock down the shine on what you got. So this, in this case on the gun, plasma pistol, I'm just trying to have it not be the shiniest thing ever. So a little bit of a thin coat of this. You can even water typhus corrosion down. Just ends up making it look grimy. I get the butt end of that handhold there. All right. On the blade, though, and I realize I still haven't gotten in there well. I'm dabbing as I go. Pick some back up off of this side. I mean, you can see that like it's mostly filled in, but the reason you're dabbing is because there's all this material that's floating around in here, and you want that to be inconsistent. The actual fiddly little bits that are floating like soup in here. Because if that's inconsistent, it doesn't matter if the whole thing's brown. That's fine. It's in like a brown medium. The little grit that's in there, if that's spread out decently and not very symmetrically, then when you hit it with Rise or Rust, it'll stick in different spots a little bit more, and it'll look more patterned than just painted. I do need to get that into the shiny stuff though, and I'm going to do that right this second, even with this garbage brush, because I don't want that paint to dry. Don't get caught watching the paint dry. This issue is right in front of me, and we are going to resolve it. There we go. Obviously this is going to later get a wash to bring its color down and its shine down, but I have to not keep passing this part by and forgetting to do it. The time has come. The reckoning is at hand, as they say in one of your favorite MMOs. time it is? 3:45. I don't have too much time left. I do have to get some stuff moving. Gently, so gently. Yeah, that is bright. Come down, buddy. Gonna have to come down. Too bright for my death guard for now. Alright, I did remember that now. Now that's done, taken care of. His gun, you can see, is already looking like someone rubbed it in mud. And I can leave it like that. I may actually leave the gun like that, and then it just looks muddy. I'll put some glow on there for sure. But when I say leave it like that, I mean I just won't add Rise of Rust to it, and it'll look like it's been sitting in mud and grime and moss. And that's cool. And the Rise of Rust is what really makes it galorpy. Dab this on. I tend to go a little lighter on the spots that I'm not going to crazily dry brush the Rise of Rust on. Oh, spiky, spiky. You are a dangerous weapon. But I find that these blades, the ones that are this big, they just look rad when they're like super rusty. It's like, what is that? Where did you keep that thing? The bathtub? Swamp? Like, yeah, I've laid that on pretty heavy, and I am happy with it. I am happy with it. I've been tempted to actually use Typhus Corrosion just as like a mud grit on some boots at certain points, because it's a pretty close color to one of the basing materials that I use. When you hit it with basing material, and I don't mind, I actually do like getting some basing material on the boots, but sometimes a little thick, it's a little bit much. It's a little tough to work with. It's tough to like get on a brush and make go. So maybe I'll do that at some point. Hey, I forgot a spot. It is funny, the day after you do all this Typhus Corrosion stuff, you always find little spots that you just didn't hit because they shine like crazy at that point. They're so metallic. They just come out screaming for blood. And this mace full of spiky stuff, so it's going to be very happy with the mega treatment. And it's like it's got these little pits in it, like the sensors do. That'll be happy. Yeah, that's a good weapon. We are this time not going to forget the blade that's on his back. Get this whole set of chains in here that I was talking about. Security chains, keeping his mace attached to him. And your blade. Yeah, you're going to be nasty. There you go. Corrosion. Last thing is plasma pistol. This won't get any amount of Rise of Rust on it. Corrosion will bring it down, and then I'll find some pretty color to get some glow coming out. I think it'll probably be Tesseract glow. I think it has to be. I think I need something pretty bright on here now, like painfully bright. Painfully bright. All right, now I'm like trying to get through as many small steps as I can. I do need a wash. Let's contrast. See what I got for red washes. Maybe down to only one of them. I have more than one. All right. I got a shade and I got a contrast. Contrast I'm going to do on the tentacles. Shade I'm going to do on the nerdlings. I know what I'm talking about. Contrast. Sigvald Burgundy. It's nice stuff. Very nice stuff. It is like, it's hard to describe how deep it is, but it absolutely looks like wine stain. And that will help this guy have a nice pop of color to him on all the tentacly stuff, but it's, as I was saying, it's not quite purple. but it's very strong. Like, you drop this on your carpet, and I hope you like the color because it's not going anywhere. It's so bright. Yeah. It's a little bit swole. There we go. Strong stuff. Now, as you can see, I may have to go back and like put a little bit of lighter highlight in it. It just looks like this engorged tentacle thing. It's a little bit regal. Pretty cool. You know what? While I'm here, see if this works. Dab in his little eye socket. Give him a thematic. Yeah. I don't know if you can. I don't know if that comes through, but it's that burgundy color. Better lights coming soon. I promise. I think on the 3rd. A big old light. That guy may end up getting burgundy elsewhere on him. I love that color. Sigvald Burgundy is a contrast paint. I don't think I would ever paint a whole model with it. But man, when you need something screamy, it works. This guy's starting to dry. You can see he's got like just glob coming out of the side of his face, so he's in good shape. Let him sort of do his thing. But we got to get to these nerdlings. Feeling the pressure of time. A little wash there. Brush seems okay. Berserker Bloodshade. This just goes all over this guy, missing the skull as best we can. And because it's not metallic creases, it's all little fingers and pudge and stuff like that. It's totally cool if this goes on pretty heavy. He'll actually look fine if he's got whole patches of him that are pretty heavily washed. I'm not worried about hitting the base because I'm going to paint the base as well. Yeah, I saw that the new Space Marines were out. Is that pre-order? I think it's pre-order. Oh, that's a cool time. I wonder if I should try to get a box just so that I got a bunch of extra parts. I wonder. Face. This, and you know what? Much as this is the opposite of what I said I was going to do, I'm actually going to hit this guy's tentacle with the same wash. We've only got a couple little spots of it, but it'll sort of carry through the model a little bit. I know that the nerdlings are going to need a little bit more treatment on like face, and they may get a little bit of dry brush on it and make happy. But that way, this guy, his whole sitch, using that same color. These are coming together. These are coming together. How much flexing can I do? I need Agrax to go over the shiny part on this glavy staff thing. Push that back a little. There we go. We are going fast, folks. Fast. Yeah, Agrax straight from the pot. There we go. That'll take you down a notch. There we go. All right, at this point, my typhus corrosion should be good to go. Get back into the crazy. I would be shocked if my Rise of Rust wasn't out here. It appears that it is not. Riser, 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 rust. Feel how dry this dry brush is. Hella dry. All right, I think this will probably be the last step that I do today, which will be awesome because it'll be an amazing amount of progress on these models. An amazing amount of progress. Part of what I'm doing here is just beating the daylights out of this brush to loosen it up again. I did get a soak at one point, but I don't think it was quite enough. Danger Orange, known as Rise of Rust. All right. All over those spikes. I'm actually going to get all this strain, this radiator. This thing look hecka dangerous. A little bit in there, a little bit on the stub end of it. A little bit everywhere that it's got that typhus corrosion, but a lot of it on these raised parts and these edges standing out. Really nice touch. Look at that, it's rusty. It's absolutely rusty. Where's my other page? Yeah. Nice and rusty. And those spikes, a little bit more rise of rust on here. Keep having to fix my glasses. I might have to have them not repaired, but worked on a little bit. They keep sliding off my head. Of course, they are transitional lenses, so I am looking down the end of my nose on purpose like a proper old man. You know, they're one step away from, I mean, they are bifocals. They're just, there's not a line in them. So maybe I just have to get used to the fact that I'm doing a lot of this. Could be on me. Yeah, so this spiky thing getting a decent amount on it. That looks like tetanus. Tetanus on a spiky ball. Get the base of this thing a little bit. Oh yeah. You don't want to get bopped over the head with that thing. You don't want to get bopped over the head with that thing at all. Very cool. All right. Last but not least, the Beast from the East. Make sure I get the edges of this thing nicely cleaned up. This one we're just gonna, yeah, plink, plink. I gotta get a little careful with this. In there a little, get in there a little. And we want these other spikes too, because they need happiness in their lives as well. All right, all right. Got nice plague encrusted typhus, corroded, tetanus shot needing. I think I have one last trick in the books. One last trick. I might not have time for it. I'll set this guy aside. Not touching my computer screen. Now this is absolutely the finishing touch. I know I've said that several times, but now I'm like in that stretch where I can feel it. Not saying there's not more details I'll add off camera at some point, but at this point I will let these guys dry once I get through this step. Ye old Tesseract Glow. And I'm going to use Tesseract Glow on some of the weapon effect stuff. Both of these, all three actually of these plasma guns will get Tesseract Glow. It's a perfect counterpoint. It's very shiny. Little dots here. You have to sit that guy on his back for it to dry the right way. You get a plasma gun with Tesseract glow. See how shaky my hands are. My left shoulder, by just sitting here holding the model for an hour or two, just falls apart and get in shape. This one actually gets a little bit down the ends of it. Tiniest little mount in these creases. Somebody has an eyeball in the back. That's gonna get some. Whoop. Oh wow, that droplet just landed like that. That's pretty solid. If that stays that way, that'll be mega cool. I don't think it can. I don't think it's possible, but well, hopefully it'll dry that way. And then this guy's got a weapon. And he gets that little bit of green and some little bits on there. At that point, we're going to let this happy trio get some rest. We got a lot of stuff done, but things do need to dry again. As far as looking to the future, there's still tiny details in here that I want to hit, but I've gone around this so much that I've run out of dry places that I can effectively paint right now. Clothes look great, the fur looks great, the base color looks great, the shiny parts look pretty solid. I got to figure out this guy's hair. There's the thing that binds it up. I got to put a little bit more detail around some spots, but for the most part, this is good. Mostly the bracer areas, they need a little something going on. That's fine. We'll get to that. I might not even do that stuff on camera. But for the most part, I'm pretty proud of these dudes. They may get a little bit more wash here and there, just a straight up black wash and non-colored wash, just to make some little spots, little recesses, eyes, teeth. If you look like, I still got some facial features you can kind of see, and he's gloppy. He's definitely gloppy. But sometimes the tiniest little dab of a pure black game wash in a few little spots just makes some more texture stand out. But anyhow, I'm happy I caught you. I might actually be back on tonight. We'll see. We'll see how things go. But these guys are pretty close. I'm happy. There's some basing to do, some nurglings to add. I might just do random stuff tonight. I got this bug to fix up. The one on the left, he's got some tentacle stuff going on. Got a couple of nurglings. So that red color is tentacle. I'm gonna leave him to sit though. But he's got some thorough red on him. And I will take pictures of these guys that are actually proper. And then hopefully the lighting will be good enough here so you guys can actually see, and I don't always have to just take things over and take a picture. But anyhow, it is about 4 my time. It has been real. I might be back on tonight. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you for guiding me through this with interesting ideas and such. And hopefully, I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.